Design methods. Previously we have discussed about what is meant by analysis and of course what is meant by design. Now let us see the various design methods. Clear? Design methods. Regarding these design methods, IS 800 is a reference. It means in different versions of IS 800, the various design methods were mentioned. Now let us see what are those design methods. First let us list out the various design methods and later we will see about each and every method. So first here is working stress method. We represent it as simply WSM. This method was mentioned in first version of this code, that is in 1956, and later this code was revised in 1962, that is known as first revision. Even in that also this method was mentioned, and in second revision, that is in 1984 it was present, and even in 2007 the latest revision, that is third revision, also it was present. But in this 2007 this particular working stress method was sidelined and only mentioned in one unit. Okay, it was sidelined in this 2007, that is in third revision this particular working stress method was sidelined. But in 1956 and in 1962 and in 1984 more emphasis was given to working stress method. Okay, it means in all the editions of this IS 800 this particular working stress method was mentioned, but in 2007 very less preference or very less emphasis was given, right? Now the second, ultimate load method or plastic method. We represent it as the ultimate load method, ULM. Is that clear? Now this method was mentioned in 1962 version of this code, that is in first revision, and in second revision, that's it. But in third revision, that means in recent edition, this particular method was not mentioned. Now the third one and the latest, that is limit state method, LSM. Okay, limit state method, LSM, and this method was mentioned in 2007, which is what our point of discussion. It means in our discussion of this design of steel structures, mainly we are going to deal about this version of IS 800, that is IS 800 2007 only we are going to discuss more elaborately. But the knowledge of the other two methods are also required. The reasons for the requirement of the knowledge of other two methods is, one is this new edition was released, or you can say was published in 2007. So prior to 2007 there exist steel structures. Okay, there exist steel structures which are designed either by working stress method, mostly working stress method, or by ultimate load method. Whenever there is a repair or renovation of that existing structures before 2007, we should have the knowledge of working stress method. Then only we can carry out that repair or renovation process. Is that clear? So for that the knowledge of working stress method and ultimate load method is required, besides limit state method. Of course, limit state method is the advanced and the recent, no doubt. So proper knowledge of the limit state is well required for design of steel structures, but the knowledge of working stress method and plastic method is also well required. So one reason just now we have discussed. Now other reason is to understand what is meant by limit state method exactly, or how the limit state method has evolved. We should have the knowledge of working stress method and plastic method. Then only we can easily understand limit state method, or we feel much comfortable with this limit state method by having the knowledge of working stress method and ultimate load method. So because of these reasons we are not only supposed to concentrate on limit state method, We should concentrate on working stress method as well as plastic method. Is it clear now, everyone? Now first let us start with the discussion of working stress method, and later we'll go for the ultimate method, and of course after that limit state method, which is our point of discussion, okay, in these particular lectures. Is it clear, everyone? So now I'm going to start the working stress method. Working stress method. Clear? Now in this working stress method, if you see the first point, so this working stress method is based on linear elastic theory. What is meant by this linear elastic theory? If you observe, so this linear elastic theory, the meaning of the linear elastic theory means, in this working stress method, all the concepts of strength of materials are valid, or this working stress method is based on the concepts of strength of materials. Concepts of strength of materials, like if you observe example like simple bending theory, etc. As all of us are familiar with the famous formula in the simple bending theory, that I will write here: m by I is equal to F by Y is equal to E by R. So this is the formula of the simple bending theory. So likewise there exist so many other theories and concepts in strength of materials. Now whatever the concepts and theories and formulas, etc., we have studied in strength of materials, all those are going to be used in this working stress method for the design of steel structures. That is the meaning of linear elastic theory. Okay, so this working stress method is based on linear elastic theory. Now what is meant by elasticity? We know it means upon removing the load, if the material regain to its original position or initial state, then it is known as elasticity. And of course linear means the graph should be linear up to this point. So if at all the stress strain curve for any material is linear up to the elastic point, then it is known as linear elastic behavior. Now the working stress method is based on that linear elastic behavior of the material. Hence we simply state that it is based on linear elastic theory. It means the concepts of strength of materials are valid here, are based on those concepts only we are going to design the structures by this working stress method. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so I'll erase this. This is the main basis for this method. Now if you observe the design criteria in this method, the design criteria for this method is the second point. The design criteria for this method. Okay, the design criteria. So the design criteria for this method is working stress should be less than permissible stress. Okay, so this is the design criteria for this method. It means working stress are produced due to apply load. Okay, working stress are produced due to apply load or working load. So that the working load we also call it as apply load. So this working stress are produced due to applied or working load. It means whatever the stresses that are produced, okay, whatever the stresses that are produced in our structural members because of applied load is known as working stress, and that working stress should be less than permissible stresses. This is the design criteria in this method. Now what is meant by permissible stress? Permissible stress is nothing but, or it is defined as some fraction of yield stress. It means mathematically permissible stress is represented like this. Mathematically permissible stresses or permissible stress is represented like this: Fy by Fos. FOS is nothing but factor of safety. Related to this factor of safety, already we have discussed in plastic analysis in our initial topic, okay, in our first topic. Hence, I'm not going to discuss in detail about factor of safety, but permissible stress is some fraction of yield stress, and mathematically permissible stress is defined as Fy by factor of safety. Fy by factor of safety. From this, we can write it as factor of safety is nothing but Fy by permissible stress. Fy by permissible stress. Permissible stress. Now let us see the permissible stresses that were mentioned in IS 800 1984. Okay. Now these are the standard values of permissible stresses that are mentioned in, as I said, IS 800 1984. That means in the second revision. IS 800 1984. So in this version of the code, these values are mentioned. So now if you see the one by one, axial tensile stress, that is sigma 80, is 0.6 Fy. It means 60% of yield stress. In axial tensile stress, we are going to consider permissible stress as a 0.6 Fy, and if you observe here unit MPa, it means megapascal. This megapascal can also be written as or it is nothing but Newton per mm square. MPa or Newton per mm square, one and the same. Is that clear? Okay, and factor of safety in this case is 1.67. It means if a particular member is subjected to the axial tensile stress because of external applied load, then permissible stress is 0.6 Fy and factor of safety in that case is 0.67. And in the same way, maximum axial compressive stress. And if you see the notation, so the here axial tensile stress is represented with sigma 80, means sigma is nothing but stress and A is axial, T is a tension. In the same way, axial compressive stress, as just now discussed, sigma represents the stress and A is axial and C is a compression. Now the permissible axial compressive stress is again the same value, 0.6 F, and factor of safety is also same. Now if you observe the bending stress, bending tensile stress, here we represent with BT, means bending tension. Permissible stress in bending tension is 0.66 Fy, means 66% of yield stress, and here it is 1.515. And for say maximum bending compressive stress, we represent sigma BC, which is nothing but 0.66 Fy, and factor of safety is 1.5, same. Now coming to the average shear stress and maximum shear stress. For shear stress, there exist two values. The reason for existing the two values is here. I'll explain just a second. Okay, here I'll explain. Suppose let us take a rectangular cross section. Here I'll explain. Let us take a rectangular cross section. This is a rectangular cross section. For rectangular cross section, shear stress variation is parabolic, which is what already studied in strength of materials, right? Here where the tau max will occur, right? Here where the tau max will occur. Here where the tau max will occur, means shear stress. Here where tau max will occur. If you observe this variation, it is not uniform, it is varying. It means at the extreme fibers it is 0 and at the center it is maximum. But for the ease of analysis, we are going to idealize this shear stress variation like this. We are going to idealize this shear stress variation like this. That means uniform throughout the cross section. This is known as tau average. So this is the real behavior. This, or you can say this is the real variation of shear stress throughout the depth of the cross section. But for the ease of doing the analysis, we are going to idealize like this uniform. Okay, now this is tau average and this is T max. So for these values, there exist permissible stresses here. Now average shear stress that we represent with tau VA, that is 40% of Fy, that is 0.4 Fy, factor of safety is 2.5, and maximum shear stress is tau VM, which is 45%, that is 0.4 Fy and 2.2. Is it clear? And one more thing, if you observe here, For axial tension or compression, the permissible stress is 60% of Fy, and for bending tension or compression, it is 66%. It means if you observe in bending, okay, in bending, the permissible stress is much greater or not much greater, somewhat greater in comparison with axial case. The reason for here is the axial stress. If you see the axial stress for any cross section, it varies uniformly throughout the depth, right? Like this, the axial stress will vary. See, all these are the concepts of strength of materials. Okay, this is the variation, means through here the stress we represent it as force by area. This is what the axial stress, okay, which varies uniformly throughout the depth of the cross section. But if you see the bending stress, it will be somewhat like this, right? Okay, it will be somewhat like this, and formula for bending stress is nothing but m by I into y. Is that clear? This is the formula for bending stress. It means if you observe, bending stress is maximum only at extreme fibers, and it is even zero at the center, right? It is even zero at the center, as the bending stress is maximum only at the extreme fibers, and it is reducing if you proceed throughout the, if you proceed into the internal fibers, as the bending stress is maximum at the extreme fibers, and if you proceed towards internal fibers, bending stress reduces. Okay, bending stress reduces. It means bending stress is not uniform like axial stress. Hence, the permissible stress in case of bending is slightly greater in comparison to the axial stress. Now, these are the standard values that are mentioned in second revision of IS 800, that is IS 800 1984. And next, bearing stress we represent with sigma p. It is nothing but 0.75 Fi, and factor of safety is 1.33. And stress in slab base, of course, we'll discuss in our next sessions or coming sessions what is a slab base and how to design it. Now the permissible stress here is we represent it with sigma bs, and it is directly the value was mentioned, that is 185 megapascal or Newton per mm square. This is about the permissible stresses. Okay, this is about the permissible stresses what we are going to use in working stress method. Okay, what we are going to use in working stress method. Is a clear one? Now let us see the limitations. So this is about this method. Okay, this is about the working stress method. It means in this method we have seen the basis for this method, and then main design criteria, and after that we have seen permissible stresses. So this is enough for working stress method. Now the most important point of discussion here is limitations. Okay, discussing the limitations. Obviously, think one point, as there exists limitation for working stress method. Okay, because of the existence of the limitations in this method of design, further methods have evolved. Okay, further methods have evolved, or else no need of going for the further methods. Let us see what are those limitations and how those limitations have overcome in the further methods. Okay, first let us see the limitations. Limitations, which is most important to discuss to understand the coming topics, coming methods, not topics. Limitations. Okay, now the first limitation, if you observe, okay, first limitation if you observe, and this first limitation is a major drawback. Okay, the first limitation is a major drawback which gave way for other methods of design like plastic method and limit state method. Now what is that first limitation? Let us see. Reserve strength. Reserve strength of steel beyond yielding, beyond its yield, is neither quantified nor utilized. Neither quantified nor utilized. Nor utilized. As I said, this is the major drawback of this method of design. Now, what is meant by reserve strength and why it is not quantified or why it is not utilized in working stress method? Let us discuss. Now, we are going to discuss it with stress strain curve of mild steel, what we have discussed in the beginning of our sessions, that is in plastic analysis itself. Okay, in plastic analysis itself we have discussed the stress strain curve of mild steel. So that by making use of that curve, let us try to understand this point. Okay, so once again I repeat this point: reserve strength of steel behind its yield is neither quantified nor utilized. As I said, let us try to understand. Okay, let us try to understand this point with stress strain curve of the mild steel. Now for this stress strain curve, okay, for this stress strain curve, on x-axis we represent strain, and on y-axis we represent stress, is small f, and the graph will be somewhat like this. This is the graph, and we know each and every point and each and detailing of this graph. Hence, I'm not going to repeat this again. Okay, hence I'm not going to repeat it again. From the graph, it is evident that there exists strength for the steel beyond yielding. It means this is where the yielding occur, right? And the stress corresponding to this point is known as yield stress, and we represent it with Fy, right? This is Fy. Okay, it is Fy. Now from this graph, it is very clear that there exists strength for the steel beyond yielding. So that strength is known as reserve strength. Okay, that strength is known as reserve strength. So what is meaning of it? Because of the external applied load, the material is subjected to stress. Okay, material is subjected to the stress, and in most of our design methods, we limit the stress to this yield stress. Okay, we limit that stresses developed in the material because of external applied load to this yield stress. We limit that stress, but beyond that yielding there exists strength. Okay, there exists strength. That strength is known as reserve strength. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, everyone. Now this reserve strength of steel in this method is neither utilized nor quantified. Now after this graph, let us try to see what is the graph that is used in working stress method. As I said, this is the generalized stress strain curve for mild steel. Okay, mild steel. Now let us see the stress strain curve of steel that is used in working stress method. Now what is the main basis for working stress method? That is linear elastic theory. Hence the graph here is, this is the graph. Now the stress corresponding to this point is Fy. As already discussed, the basis for this working stress method is linear elastic theory. Linear elasticity. It means material behavior is elastic. It means this elasticity corresponds to the material behavior. Material behavior is elastic, and the graph in that elastic zone is linear. It means the curve or graph should be linear. That is the meaning of it. Hence the graph that is used in working stress method is this. As already shown here, this is Fy, right? Means yield point or yield limit. Yield limit. Now undoubtedly the permissible stress is less than this yield limit, right? The permissible stress is less than this yield limit. Now here where the permissible stress will present. Suppose let us assume axial tensile case or compressive case, which is 60% of Fy. Now let us let us write it as permissible stress, right? Now here where the working stress will present. Here where the working stress will present. It means working stress should be less than permissible stress. So from this graph it is very clear that, okay, from this graph it is very clear that working stress that is developed in the structure or material because of working load or apply load is much less than yield point. Hence there is no need to take care of safety in this criteria. Hence, there is no need to take care of safety in this criteria. The reason working stress is much less than yield limit. Hence, no failure will occur. Okay, hence no failure will occur. Therefore, in this method, serviceability criteria is taken into the consideration. Okay, and hence in this method, serviceability criteria is mainly taken into the consideration rather than stability criteria because of the fact that working stress is much less than yield stress or yield limit. Is that okay? Hence, this method is also called as serviceability method. Okay, and this method is also called as serviceability method. So this is also one of the drawback. Okay, this is also one of the drawback. What is this drawback? If you see the design condition, okay, design criteria, that is working stress is equal to, if you see the design criteria, that is working stress not equal to less than, working stress is less than permissible stress, as already discussed. This is the design criteria of this method of design, right? Agree with that? So as this working stress is much less than, okay, as this working stress is, okay, as this working stress is much less than this Fy, okay, as this working stress is much less than, much less than this Fy, that is yield stress, hence no need to take care of stability criteria. It means it will not fail in that aspect. Hence mainly serviceability criteria is considered. Hence this method is also called as serviceability method. And this method is also called a serviceability method. Serviceability method. Why this method is called a serviceability method? Serviceability criteria is mainly taken into the consideration rather than safety criteria. And this method is also called as serviceability method. Is that okay? It means as stability criteria is not taken into the consideration, hence it is drawback. Okay, it is drawback. Is that clear now, everyone? And one more thing here. Why it is considered as a drawback? As it is not fail in stability criteria, and safely it is hence we can consider, hence we can go for considering only serviceability criteria. But why it is considered as a limitation or drawback? Let us see. Okay, why it is considered as a limitation or drawback? Let us see. Okay, now if you observe this design criteria, that is working stress is equal to, okay, not equal to, that is working stress is less than, okay, working stress is less than permissible stress. This is the design criteria. So this design criteria is not realized practically in all cases. Is not realized practically, not realized practically in all cases. Now let us inspect in what cases this particular design criteria fails. Okay, now what are those effects and what are those cases? Let us see. In effects like stress concentration, and in long-term effects like creep and shrinkage, and even because of residual stresses and other secondary effects. Because of these effects, once again I will repeat, because of the effects due to stress concentration, creep means long-term effects like creep and shrinkage, and residual stress and other secondary effects. Because of all these effects, okay, because of all these effects, this design criteria will not valid practically. Okay, will not valid practically, and these effects, okay, and these effects deviate the behavior of the structural material from linear to non-linear. As we have discussed, the material behavior is linear in working stress method, but because of these effects, what we have discussed now, because of these effects, the material behaves non-linearly, or deviation of the material behavior will occur, that is from linear to non-linear. So in working stress method, there is no consideration for the non-linear behavior. Okay, there is no consideration for the non-linear behavior. It means these working stresses will exceed permissible stresses, and chances are there for this working stress to near yield stress. Not in all the cases, but in some cases. Then stability criteria is to be considered For sure, stability criteria is to be considered, but basic design criteria in this method itself is working stress should be less than permissible stresses. Hence, no need to take care of working stress. Okay, no, sorry, no need to take care of stability criteria. Hence, all the time we take care only serviceability criteria, right? That is the drawback as discussed earlier. Okay, that is a drawback earlier. Okay, that is a drawback we have discussed earlier. But this design criteria is not going to valid in all the cases. Just now we have seen where this design criteria is going to fail. Of course, they are secondary effects, but still we need to consider that effects in our design. Design means all the undesirable effects should be accounted in the design, not only primary or major. All the effects means including minor effects also considered. So because of these minor effects, this design criteria is not going to valid. Okay, that is why it is considered as a drawback. Is that okay? So in working stress method, serviceability criteria is mainly considered rather than stability, hence it is a drawback. Why it is drawback? Just now we have discussed. Okay, now let us see the next one here in this itself. Okay, now here in the design, okay, here in the design of working stress method or design of steel structures by this working stress method, we are going to use working stress. Okay, we are going to use working stress, which is much less than yield limit. Hence, this working stress result in Waver design. Waver design means more safety, that is larger sections, hence it finally results in uneconomical design. Okay, this is also a major drawback because of, if you see here, because of non-utilization of reserve strength or non-consideration of reserve strength of steel behind its yield in working stress method. These are the limitations. So first we have discussed that working stress less than permissible stress is not going to valid in all the cases or all the effects, like mainly in minor effects it is going to fail. Okay, it is going to fail, but in design we consider that working stress should always less than permissible stress, and so we are not going to consider stability criteria. We are going to consider only serviceable criteria. Okay, serviceable criteria, which is not true. That is a one drawback. Okay, which comes under this category because of non-utilization of reserve strength. And another is because of usage of working stress. Okay, because of usage of working stress in the design. Wow. That particular design method results in Waver design, means more stability, that is larger sections and uneconomical. Is that okay? Now let us see the other drawbacks of this. Now the second drawback here. We are going to discuss the second drawback, that is related to the factor of safety. We know the definition of factor of safety. Factor of safety is nothing but yield stress Fy by permissible stress, right? Permissible stress. This is how factor of safety is defined. Now, whatever the factor of safety values we have discussed, that is based on the IS 800 1984. Like if you see in axial tension and compression, it is 1.617, and in bending tension and compression, it is 1.515, etc. So these are the factor of safety values that were mentioned in IS 800 1984. Now, all these values are based on experience and available field data. It means the factor of safety values what we have discussed are purely based on engineering judgment, hence lack scientific basis. This is also a drawback. Okay, this is also a drawback. So far we have seen the two drawbacks. One is non-utilization of reserve strength. Because of the non-utilization of reserve strength lead to the further two drawbacks. That is as serviceability criteria is only considered rather than strength or stability. That is one drawback because of non-utilization of reserve strength. And other drawback is because of usage of working stress in working stress method, okay, because of usage of working stress in working stress method results in Waur design. Okay, results in Waur design, which ultimately lead to the uneconomical design. Is that okay? Now here make a note and write down one point before proceeding for the discussion of the other limitations in this working stress method. Make a note and write down. In introduction class itself, we have discussed about the aims of civil engineer in this design of steel structures. So what are the aims of civil engineer? That is design of structural steel. It means cross checking whether that particular selected tile section, okay, whether that particular selected tile section is adequate enough or not. That is one aim. And other aim is design of connections. It means in design of steel structures, we are having or we are have to deal with two things. One is structural steel sections and another is connections. And these connections, okay, dealing with connections is more important rather than steel sections. That is what already discussed. It means what I'm trying to say here is two things we need to deal with two things in this design of steel structures. Okay, so now the factor of safety what we have written here is Fy by permissible stress is for structural steel. It means here I will write for structural steel, for structural steel sections. Okay, for structural steel sections, so the factor of safety is Fy by permissible stress, right? Fy by permissible stress. Now for connections, factor of safety is Fu by permissible stress. Okay, very important point to be noted. The very same point we are going to use even in limit state method also. It means for structural steel sections, mostly we are going to make use of yield stress. But for connections, we are going to make use of Fu. It means if you are making use of yield stress means we are assuming that that particular material fails by yielding. Okay, fails by yielding. So as I said, very very important point to be noted here. So most of the structural steel sections we assume that most of the structural steel sections fail by yielding. Hence always we use Fy, yield strength or yield stress. But most of the connections will fail by rupture or collapse or cracking. Hence, in the design, we use Fu, that is ultimate tensile stress or simply ultimate stress. So, very important point to be noted. Is that okay, everyone? So, this is a very, very important point to be noted. So, please take this. And after this, one more note is there. So, first you please take this, and later I'm going to later we're going to see the one more note. So, this is the first one, first note here, first point in the note. Now, let us see the second point. So as already we have seen the permissible stresses, okay, as already we have seen the permissible stresses as per IS 800 1984. Is that okay? Now those permissible stresses are increased in some situations. What are those situations? Let us see here. In case of earthquake or wind load, in case of earthquake or wind load, permissible stresses are increased. So the how much amount to be increased? Let us see here. For structural steel, okay, for structural steel, the increase is 33.5%. It means, example, let us take axial tension. So axial tension we represent with sigma AT. Now what is the permissible stress in axial tension? It is 0.6 Fy, right? if you are considering earthquake or wind load in the design, then this permissible stress should be increased by 33.5%. It means this should be multiplied. So this sigma AT, okay, this sigma AT should be increased by 33.5%. It means this sigma AT should be multiplied with 1.33 into 0.6 F5. Is that okay? So finally we are going to get some value. This is what the meaning. Okay, this is what the meaning of increase. So whenever we are going to consider earthquake load or wind load, then permissible stress are increased. See, all these are only in working stress method. Okay, this is for structural steel. Now let us see for connections. The increase is 25%. For connection, the increase is 25%. So this is the second point in the note. Once again, I repeat, in case if you consider earthquake or wind load, then permissible stress are increased. So how much the amounts to be increased for structural steel? The increase is 33.5%, and for connections it is 25%. Is that okay? Now let us continue our discussion of limitations. Okay. Now I'm going to erase these notes, and we'll see the other limitations. Okay, so these are the two limitations we have discussed so far. Third limitation. So now the third limitation here is failure mode. Okay, failure mode in working stress method is not visualized. It means as we are going to make use of working stress in this method, which is much less than yield stress, okay, which is much less than yield stress, and so we don't know when the failure will occur exactly and how it will take place. Okay, when the failure will occur and how it take place, we don't know. Therefore, failure mode is not visualized. Okay, always keep one thing in mind. By knowing failure only, we can go for design, right? But here failure mode is not visualized properly or clearly. That is another drawback. Now the next and last drawback here is this working stress method. Okay, this working stress method unable to discriminate between different types of loads that act simultaneously by maintaining same factor of safety would lead to unconservative design. As I said previously, this is the last limitation. Now what is this limitation? Once again I'll read it. Okay, unable to discriminate between different types of loads that act simultaneously by maintaining same factor of safety would lead to unconservative design. So what is meant by this limitation? Let us see. There exist different types of loads like dead load. Okay, like dead load. Like dead load, we represent it with DL. Live load, live or imposed load, imposed or live load, LL, and wind load, that is WL. earthquake load, EL, snow load, SL, etc. So these are the main loads or major loads we are going to consider. Other than this, there exists some other. Okay, other than this, there exists some other loads. Okay, some other loads, but mainly these are the loads we are going to consider in the design. Now, if we see the dead load, live or imposed load, wind load, earthquake load, snow load, etc. Now, in this working stress method, all these loads are considered as a same. Okay, all these loads are considered as same, and factor of safety that is used here is 1. In this working stress method, the factor of safety what we are going to use for this load is 1. Okay, same factor of safety we are going to use, and all these loads are going to be considered as a same, which results in unconservative design. Okay, which results in unconservative design, and this is considered as a limitation. Is that okay? Now these are the limitations. So first see from the first. Okay, let us see from the first. Reserve strength of the steel beyond its yield is neither quantified nor utilized, and the factor of safety what we are going to consider is purely based on engineering judgment and lacks scientific basis, and failure mode is not visualized, and unable to discriminate between different types of loads that act simultaneously by maintaining same factor of safety would lead to the unconservative design. These are the limitations. Apart from these limitations, okay, apart from the limitations what we have discussed for working stress method, there exist advantages. What are those advantages? What are those advantages? Let us see. Most of the structures that are designed in accordance with working stress method have performed satisfactorily. Okay, have performed satisfactorily for many years. That is why we have followed the working stress method from 1956 to 2007, right? So in this span, we have designed steel structures by working stress method. Throughout this span, these structures have performed satisfactorily. Obviously, is that okay? And major advantage of working stress method is it is simple in nature in both concepts and in application. Because of that only we have used working stress method. Okay, working stress method is very simple in nature, both in concepts and even in application. Is that okay? So this is about the working stress method. Now let us go for the other method of design, that is plastic method. Is that clear? Now the next method of our discussion is plastic method or ultimate load method, ULM. This method is also called as ultimate strength method. This method is also called as ultimate strength method. And one more name is there, that is load factor method. Okay, these are the other methods for it. Now let us see point wise about this method. As we know, the major limitation for working stress method is reserve strength, non-utilization of reserve strength. Hence the basis for ultimate load method. Is reserve strength. Here I will write. Okay, reserve strength is the basis. Okay, reserve strength is the basis for this method. Okay, reserve strength is the basis for this method. Hence, failure conditions which occurs at collapse or ultimate load is the design criteria rather than working load conditions. Is that okay? So now reserve strength is the basis for this ultimate load method. Hence failure conditions which occur at, now we see here the terminology. Okay, now if you see here the terminology, collapse or ultimate load. Now what is meant by this collapse or ultimate load? We'll see. Okay, what is meant by this collapse load or ultimate load? We'll see. No doubt, okay, no issue with it, but as of now you go through this point. So reserve strength is the basis for this method, no doubt. Hence failure condition which occur at collapse or ultimate load is a design criteria rather than working load condition. It means in previous method, what is the design criteria? Stresses due to working load, that is working stress, should be less than permissible stress. So because of that we have seen the limitations, and of course we have seen the design method also. Is that okay? Now this method is mainly based on reserve strength. Okay, reserve strength. Because of that reserve strength or utilization of reserve strength, failure conditions will occur at collapse load. Okay, failure condition will occur at collapse load or ultimate load, which is a design criteria. Now coming to the collapse load. What is collapse load? Let us see. Now collapse load is equal to LF, means load factor into working load. What is meant by load factor? Already we have discussed in the first unit of our discussion, that is in plastic analysis. See here, the other name for this ultimate load method is plastic method. It means whatever the concepts and theories we have discussed in plastic analysis, all those we are going to make use here for the design. Okay, all those concepts we are going to make use here in this design. It means first we are going to carry out analysis. So based on that analysis only we are going to design. Hence the analysis part already we have discussed, which is very important, and from which with 2 marks is guaranteed from exam point of view. Very important topic. Now this particular method, that is ultimate load method or load factor method or ultimate strength method or plastic method, is mainly based on plastic analysis. That is the reason whatever we have discussed in that, all those in this method come into the picture, or we are going to make use those concepts and theories. Is that okay? So now collapse load is equal to load factor into working load. Is that okay now everyone? Now we know what is meant by load factor, right? As already discussed, but once again I'll write here. So load factor is equal to factor of safety into shape factor, right? This is what we have discussed in plastic analysis. Now in IS 800 1984, there exists some standard values for load factor. What are those values? Let us see. These are the values. So load factor. So structures or proportions of the structures, structures or portions of the structures proportioned using plastic design shall have sufficient strength as determined by plastic analysis to support the working load multiplied by load factor as given below. Now working loads. If we consider only dead load, then load factor to be used is 1.7. If we consider dead load along with imposed load, again the same 1.7. If we use dead load plus load due to wind or seismic, means earthquake forces, then again it is 1.7. But if we use all these loads at a time, that is dead load, imposed load plus load due to wind or seismic forces, then it is 1.3. These are the standard load factor values that are mentioned in IS 800 1984. Here I will write. These are the standard values that were mentioned. And if you observe here, the load factor, if earthquake or wind load is considered, it is reduced. It means how much amount it is reduced? Approximately 23.5% reduction of load factor is there. If we consider dead load, if we consider wind or seismic load along with dead load or imposed load. Is that okay? So these are the load factor values. Is about the first point. Okay, this is about the first point. And if you observe the apply load, okay, whatever the load we are going to apply load, load is much less than, or you can say it is less than collapse load. Hence the design is safe, right? Safe design. As applied load is less than the collapse load, okay, which is nothing but load factor into working load, then design is safe. Is that okay? This is what the first point about this. Okay, this is what the first point about this. Now let us see the design. Okay, let us see how we are going to design by using this plastic method. Okay, in this point itself, let us discuss how we are going to design Okay, how we are going to design by using plastic method. And here I'm going to take example of beam. Okay, here I'm going to take example of beam. The reason for taking example as beam, okay, the reason for taking beam as example is already the design of axial member. Okay, already the design of axial member have dealt. So where we have discussed the design of axial member, come on, recollect. So in the explanation of the usage of the three code books in the design of steel structures, that is IS 800 and IS 875 and IS handbook number 1, in explanation of the uses of these three code books, okay, I have used axially loaded member. Okay, I have used, or by taking the example as axially loaded member. Okay, by taking the example as axially loaded member, I have explained how to make use of these three code books. And here I am going to make use of beam as an example to explain how we are going to design by plastic method or plastic design. Is that okay? As I said, let us take beam. Okay, example beam. Beam design. Okay, beam design. Now this beam is subjected to center point load. Subjected to center point load. Okay, this example. Now the first step here is calculate collapse load. Calculate collapse load, which we represent with W. So collapse load is nothing but load factor into working load, right? After this, calculate bending moment. Calculate bending moment. Now that bending moment here is plastic moment MP, which is nothing but W U L by 4. So for simply supported beam, here we are considered simply supported beam. Here I will write, okay, SS, simply supported. Okay, simply supported beam design subjected to center point load. As here it is simply supported beam subjected to center point load. Moment is W L by 4. Okay, W U L by 4. This is a bending moment, which is nothing but plastic moment. After that, calculate required section modulus. Okay, calculate required section modulus. This section modulus in this case is plastic section modulus. As here method itself is plastic method, hence the section modulus to be considered or to be used is plastic section modulus. Now the required section modulus is nothing but, we know that MP by Fy. By this we are going to get the required section modulus. So the very important point to be noted in this step is for Fy there is no usage of any factor of safety. See here, for Fy there is no usage of factor of safety. Simply we have considered factor of safety. Okay, sorry, simply we have considered the stress without any factor of safety. This is a very important point to be considered. It means in plastic design, okay, it means in plastic design there exists factor of safety only for load. If you see here, we are multiplying the working load with load factor, means we are using factor of safety for load, but we are not using factor of safety for material. That means for stress or strength we are not using. Very important point to be noted. So by dividing MP by Fy, we are going to get required section modulus. So based on this, by making use of IS handbook number 1, we are going to provide a trial section or select a trial section. Select a trial section from steel tables book. From steel tables book to match with required properties. Is that okay? So this is how to design a beam based on plastic method. Is that clear? Once again I repeat, the most important point should be noted here. For load, there exists a factor of safety which is called as load factor method. Okay, which is called as load factor. Hence, this method is also called as a load factor method. Is that okay? So for load, there is a factor of safety called as load factor. And for material, there is no factor of safety. Simply, we are going to use material strength or stress. Is that okay? So this is about the first point of ultimate load method. Now the next point. Okay, the next point. Plastic method is considered as limit state of strength. Plastic method is considered as a limit state of strength. Now what is meant by this limit state of strength? That is what the important point of discussion. Okay, that is what the important point to be discussed, or that is what the point of discussion here. Limit state of strength. Okay. Now, without making use of this limit state of strength word, already we have discussed what is meant by limit state of strength. Okay, what is meant by limit state of strength? Where we have discussed it? Okay, where we have discussed about it? We have discussed about it in the beginning of plastic analysis. Okay, so in the beginning of plastic analysis, we have discussed about the mechanism, and how the mechanism will occur, and what is meant by plastic state, and when we assume the plastic is going to form, and how to calculate MP. All these concepts we have already discussed in the plastic analysis, right? Now based on that analysis only, this design is going to be carried out. Okay, this design is going to be carried out, and as I said, without using this term limit state of strength, we have discussed about what is meant by it. Now what is meant by limit state of strength? Let us see. First, let us try to understand from the literature. It means the English formation, that is a limit state of strength. So now there exists a limit for some state. That state is nothing but strength. So now in plastic method, there exists a limit for strength. Okay, there is a limit for strength. That is the meaning of this sentence. Is that okay? Now what is meant by this limit state of strength? Let us see. So first means we need to recollect, or we have to go back to the discussion of plastic analysis. So upon loading a beam with plastic load, okay, upon loading a beam with plastic load, all the fibers of some cross sections, okay, all the fibers of some cross section will yield equally. Okay, will yield equally. It means the stress distribution is uniform, as already discussed. So how the stress distribution is going to be? These are the stress distribution, right? Whenever there exists this type of stress distribution in any cross section of a beam, then that cross section is said to be in plastic state, right? Then that cross section is said to be in plastic state. Now that is considered the limit state of strength. Now at that plastic state, what will happen? Okay, at that plastic state, what will happen? Now the at that plastic state, that material will develop MP, plastic moment, means ultimate moment carrying capacity, or ultimate moment of resistance it will develop. Okay, maximum moment of resistance it will develop. After that, that cross section will not have any moment to resist, or it can't have ability to develop any moment to resist the external applied bending moment. Is that okay now, everyone? After that, we assume that formation of plastic hinge at that location. Whenever sufficient number of plastic hinges are formed, ultimately that beam will fail by forming mechanism. So this is known as limit state of strength. Okay, this is known as limit state of strength. Now where the beam fails by mechanism, that is a limit. Okay, that is a limit for strength of that member. Is that okay, everyone? This is the second point. So this is about the plastic method. Okay, this is about the plastic method. Now let us see the limitations, and before going to the limitation, one more point is there. After discussion of that point, we'll go for the limitations in this plastic method. Now that is this method, and okay, this plastic analysis and design. Plastic analysis and design. Plastic analysis and design provides a simple approach for redundant structures redundant structures and results in small size sections and results in small size sections. So this is about the plastic method or plastic design. Now let us see the limitations. Okay, let us see the limitations of this method. The first and major limitation is strength criteria is only considered. As a name itself, or the other name of this plastic method is limit state for strength. Hence, strength criteria or stability. Okay, strength or strength criteria is only considered. But not serviceability. Okay, so in this plastic method, when we assume failure will occur by forming the mechanism. So when the mechanism will occur after forming the sufficient number of plastic hinges. Okay, we assume that when sufficient number of plastic hinges are formed in a given beam, then mechanism will occur. It means at plastic hinge, infinite rotation will occur. Rotation means serviceability. It means we are not bothering about the serviceability there. In this method, we are not bothering about serviceability. We are bothering about only strength. That is a limitation. So whenever there is a design, then both strength and serviceability is to be accounted. So one practical example for your understanding I am giving here. Let us take suspension bridge. So whenever we are moving very fastly on suspension bridge, or whenever we are running, then the suspension bridge will vibrate and deflect more and more, right? Now that vibration or deflection will give a feeling to us that it may fail, yes or no? So that whenever we are moving very fast or whenever we are running on suspension bridge, it will give a feeling to us that it may fail or it may collapse, right? But in really, no. It means we can say that for that suspension bridge, strength is enough, but serviceability is not taken into the consideration. Hence, it is undesirable. Hope it is clear. So whenever you are going to study this point, that is strength criteria is only considered but not serviceability, so always recollect this suspension bridge example. So whenever we are moving very fast or we are running on the suspension bridge, it will not fail, it means it will not collapse, but it will vibrate more and more, or it will deflect more and more, and it will give us feeling that it may fail, right? So whenever we are designing, both the strength and serviceability, or you can say safety and serviceability, to be taken into the consideration. If we see in the previous method, only serviceability criteria is taken into the consideration. That is in working stress method, only serviceability is taken into the consideration. Now in this plastic method, only strength is taken into the consideration. That is why it is a limitation. Now apart from this, here strength criteria is only considered but not serviceability. Even other limit state of safeties like instability, fatigue, brittle fracture is also not considered. It means here only strength criteria is taken into the consideration, not serviceability. Even in safety, even in limit state of safety, other considerations like or other criteria like instability, fatigue, brittle fracture is also not considered. Hence it is a limitation, or you can say shortcoming or drawback. Now second is no factor of safety for material. These are the limitations of the working stress. These are the limitations of ultimate load method. So we have seen what is meant by working stress method and some provisions related to working stress method mentioned in IS 800 1984. And after that we have seen the limitations. Now the limitations of working stress method gave way for plastic method. Of course we have seen the plastic method. So some limitations of working stress method are overcome in plastic method, but still this plastic method suffered with some limitations. These are the limitations. Now whatever the limitations that are existing in working stress method and plastic method are are dealt rationally in limit state method. Both these the limitations, the both the limitations in both these methods are rationally dealt in limit state method. So related to the limit state method, we'll discuss in detail in bolted connections in the discussion of codal provisions. Is that okay? So with this the design methods is completed. With this design methods is completed.